everyone, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. My today's guest is actually the first guest that was in this first season, and he's coming back once again. We talked about so many different things about his work in the first season, and it was a really great conversation. But today we are definitely going a bit deeper and a bit further than his work because everyone knows his work. We just mentioned that before actually tuning in. So, Scott, welcome to the show once again.
Once again, happy to be here, man. I appreciate you
Yeah,
having me
I mean
back.
it's a really pleasure to have you, and you did so many great things. You've been having a really well, from what we have been able to see on social media, quite a good year. You've spoken at conferences. You had a logo design workshop on your own. We'll touch a bit on that part, but let's start with some fun stuff that we didn't touch in the first part. Um, I've seen you publishing a picture of you working with your daughter.
Yes.
Does she have any? I mean, she's like 2 years, right? 2 years
So she
old.
turns two. She turns two in a week. A week from today, she'll be two.
Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday to her, like a bit early. Does she even know what her dad does?
Probably not. Honestly,
Probably not,
I mean,
right?
she's not quite there yet. I will say that in the last couple of weeks, we got her this huge Hello Kitty coloring book. It's huge. Like the thing is like 3 feet long. I mean, it's just huge. And she's been drawing in that a lot more, not just coloring, but just kind of drawing. She sees me drawing.
Okay.
My son is also very avid, drawer, illustrator, everything like that. So, she sees a lot of that and she's kind of copying. She loves sitting in my lap, kind of seeing what I have going on, which is always fun to do. And of course, she's very photogenic, so she kind of helps bring the quality of those pictures up. But it's really neat. It's really neat. I mean, I remember going to work with my dad. I remember, not quite understanding what he did, but just that he got to work with some really big machinery and whatnot. And I always enjoyed that. So the fact that I can pass that along to my kids and to them to be right here with me is great. My son comes along with me on sometimes to client meetings, sometimes different things like that, and he has an understanding of that as well. So it's nice. It's pretty cool.
That's really amazing. And your son is 14 years now,
Yep.
so he's like completely understanding what his dad does, and that's really cool. I wished happy birthday to your daughter, but I want to congratulate you on 17 years being with your wife, Julie.
Yeah.
That was recently. So
it's amazing. I mean, it's for anybody who's been married for, a certain length of time. It's like the day you got married seems like yesterday, and then it seems like 100 years ago at the same time. It's amazing. But I look at where we started and where we are now, how much we've grown, and it's been amazing. And now having her on the team with me officially has been just an absolute blessing. And I couldn't be more thankful. She's a wonderfully creative. She is an incredible mother, and just an amazing person in her own right. And I'm a happy man. So
I'm really glad to hear that. And it's, when you meet people and you just know that someone is kind of a good person, that's the feeling I got about you when we talked the first time. I didn't know you before that. We never met in person, and I got that feeling. So I'm really, really happy to hear that. And it's good. I mean, I've been with my husband for a bit over 20 years now. So
wow.
Yeah, I know how things, it's not always easy. It's not always like flowers and butterflies, but it's such a blessing to actually have someone for such a long time who knows you so well, to
That's
have
true.
him by your side. And as you said, she joined like the your studio
Hmm.
officially, so it's
Officially.
the two of you now.
Yes.
Well, amazing.
Well,
Was there?
three. I have a studio manager who's
Okay,
worked with me for a couple of years.
okay.
She's fantastic as well. So it's great. I remember. I remember I was talking to. I was talking to her the other day, and I just said, "There are two people on the planet that can talk to me that way, and I'm married to the other one."
Uh,
So it's really nice. They you know uh, it's just a great working relationship, and I'm very very thankful to have both of them there.
yeah.
We just had our kind of end of the year um, dinner and everything like that. Had the whole family and everything together, and then had Ash, and it was good just to get together, kind of reflect, relax, and plan some stuff for this year. And it's already off to a really good start, and we're only a couple weeks in.
Yeah, it's just like been 2 weeks and it's crazy. I have a feeling it's like May, July almost. Like so many different things happened on my side as well. So yeah, but tell me, like we talked, the episode with you aired in like 8 months ago.
I think
What
so. Yeah.
happened? Yeah, approximately in that time. What
Oh my
happened
gosh.
with you in that time on work level and personal level?
Work level went really well. I mean, we had, going to conferences has been great. Did a workshop at Creative South. That was wild. So my, I've been going to Creative South since 2013. So it's been a minute. Um, and this year was really nice. I, my cohorts for this year, my crew this year, it was myself, the Massimo and Sean from Angry Designers podcast,
Okay, amazing.
Alan Peters, and James Bernard.
Wow,
Um,
you had a blast. I mean, you
so
picked like
that was our crew. That's just how it turned out. Like we didn't like we all knew we were coming. Alan and I talk all the time. I've known him for a long time. And then you know, Moss and Sean, we had talked for a little bit beforehand, but we had never met in person. And then James and I had talked, online and whatnot before, but we had never met in person. So we all got to meet each other for the first time, most of us. But it was a wild weekend, man. We had a great time, great conversation, and now it's like friends for life. So like the five of us are just we talk on like a almost daily basis.
that's
We
so
have our own little
amazing.
group and everything like that. So we talk on a nearly daily basis, and just kind of we look at work, we make fun of each other, we kind of prop each other up, help each other out wherever we can, and that's been great. But then the whole time we were there, I got to do a got to an icon workshop. That one was packed out, which was great. Um, had my merch table, iconic. I had a chance to do some of that, and uh, and it was just a fantastic time. I'm looking forward to going back in April, this year,
Okay.
and then some big things in the works for year 15 in 2027. So
Okay.
um,
Already planning.
already planning, yeah.
Wow.
So apparently I'm a part of that. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens. But that's
that's
all I can
great.
officially say. The other thing, I had to do some traveling, got to do some of that. Um, did did we talk about the workshop in Brooklyn with Lance Wyman? Did we talk about that last time?
Um, I don't think so. I
I
don't
don't think
remember.
so. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. So just before that, um, I saw this random thing. This is like midnight or something, and I saw this random thing from Carlson Wilker in Brooklyn, and we're having a student, a Saturday workshop series or whatnot, and it was like we're having Lance Wyman, who is just unreal and easily one of the largest influences on my career, um, period.
Okay.
And I've talked to him before, emailed him, chatted on him on the phone a little bit before, but I'd never had a chance to meet him. So there was only, I think, 10 spots. It's a small studio, so it was
Oh,
only 10
wow.
people. And I think it was like $100 for a day with him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So a little background to this. I have had the chance to do workshops with some of the legends of our time. But every time I had the opportunity to, something came up, something fell through, something happened. So I told my wife a few years back, I said, if, no matter what's going on, if there's any opportunity, especially because some of these folks are getting up there in age, I may not have an opportunity to do this again. I missed a workshop with Vignelli, and then I think he passed away 2 years later. So it's that type of deal. So I got the ticket, and then I found a flight. I found an Airbnb, and it was all like really, really good, but it was cheap, and it didn't cost me, a ton to go up there. But man, spent a day with him. That was one of the most amazing times to see him go through his work. If anybody knows anything about, his notebooks and different things like that, he brought the originals with
Oh,
him.
wow.
We're talking books from, Goodnight, from the mid 70s, so almost 50 years ago,
Wow.
and they're falling apart and taped together and everything. And I'm just looking through these things, and it's design history. Some
Yeah,
things that
quite
we've seen,
surreal, I can
yeah,
imagine, right?
things that we've seen for 30, 40 plus years drawn for the first time in these books, and it was unbelievable. So I thought I knew how to put meaning into my work before I took that workshop, and now it's amazing. Just a day with him, and it was nuts, and had a great time. Folks at Carlson Wilker, Jan, and everybody there, their whole team did a fantastic job putting that on. My buddy Chris Logsdon showed up and did it with me. Got a chance to see some folks while I was in town, and go eat at some places that I was very happy to eat at. Um, and then getting into the summer, work was going well, things were moving along. And then we had a couple of tragedies in family. My wife's dad passed away in
Oh,
Japan.
I'm so
My
sorry.
grandmother passed away, and there was about 3 or 4 months there. It was a lot. Lord brought us through, and you know, a lot of things happened over that course that just went really, really well for our family. And you know, it's no fun, but I'm happy with what came out of it. My you know, it's been wild, but um, during that time, I got to speak at circles in Texas. I'm really excited about this one. I actually got to meet the guy who founded Major League Creative, and I've got some announcements about that coming up very, very soon. I think in the next couple weeks. So
Okay.
stay tuned there. Workshop. I got to do workshops. I got to do a panel discussion. Um, while I was up there, they basically had me doing something every day, and it was great. Um, but yeah, and then workshops throughout, a little bit more travel here and there, and then yeah, here we are in 2026 with some of the best momentum that we've had in a while.
Well, glad to hear that part. And once again, I'm really, really sorry for the losses. I know how hard it can be, and yeah, really sorry about that. I mean, especially when you actually depend on the work that you do
Mhm.
and you are not in a mood to do it for sure when
Yeah,
something like that happens. Um, how did you guys, I mean, if it's okay to ask, how did you deal with it?
family first. I mean, that was honestly the way everything ran. Yes, some things were behind, some things were late, some things were whatnot, but I have a really nice, I have a good relationship with my clients and people that I work with, and there's an understanding there. And I think that I mean, I've had instances in the past where I've had to step away or I've had to put something on hold. I remember I was in the hospital one time and I had a client, call me and say, "Hey, we got to do this and this." I'm like, "I'm in the hospital. I can't really do anything right now." And then they ended up getting upset and like angry at me basically for like being in the hospital, and I ended up firing them. So, I've worked really hard and over the course of my career, and sometimes the balance is there, sometimes it's not. Sometimes certain things got put first, maybe they should have, maybe they shouldn't have. But I have learned, very well over the course of my career, you know, there are certain things that just have to come first. And, you know, everybody was very understanding about that.
Oh, that's really good to hear. I mean, that part, especially when everything depends on the work that you do, and now that your wife is working with you as well, and it's really really good to have those clients that understand. I mean, everyday life, it happens to everyone, and it kinds of makes sense to actually understand those people and
Yeah.
not be angry because someone's in a hospital. It's not like you decided, yeah, like I'm going there. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean that's really good, and I love the thing that I saw on your Instagram. I think you probably talked about it before, where you actually do not accept clients if you cannot have a call with them, if you cannot meet, I mean, at
Hmm.
least meet them virtually.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
how did you come to that decision?
I think it's always kind of been ingrained in me. My dad ran his own shop for, his own company for, 20 something years. And I would always see him, folks would come into the shop and, they'd never met before. And then by the time they left, shaking hands, they're talking about this, talking about that. And, my dad always had some type of a relationship with his clients as well in a very blue collar industry. And I saw that growing up. And then I just said, you know, I'm a better talker than I am writer. That might have something to do with it. But I also think that there's this idea, especially nowadays, everything, we want this expedited. We want, can a call be a form? Can a call be an email? Can it be, a questionnaire or something like that? And I'm sitting there, we're kind of designing, everything's moving faster, everything's moving, more consistent, but we're almost kind of designing the humanity out of it. And, some people that I know feel that way too. Some people feel the exact opposite. So it's very much person to person, studio to studio, even a personality thing. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's it's always been something for me from the beginning. And I found out. I think I did an interview. A couple months ago, and we were talking about this. And I said, I can do more in 5 minutes of a phone call than anybody else could with 20 emails. And I've proven that over the course of my career, and which is one of the reasons that I'm able to have relationships with my clients. I'm able to call them up, talk to them, and do different things like that. Um, they set their time aside for me, and I do the same for them. So it's a very mutual, beneficial relationship, and that makes it a lot easier when you can talk to somebody in person. If you and I were doing, if you were local, we'd be doing
Yeah,
this, over food. We'd be doing
yeah,
this,
yeah, over
in
lunch, and
person. Find a little podcast studio or something, and
definitely.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can definitely understand that part, because somehow it's not really just the words. Even when you talk to a client, it's face
Hmm.
expressions. You see, like, you can even see in the eyes the feelings they have
Yep.
for their business. It's not just, I mean, and you can never have that in an email. As you said, it's my opinion. Everyone has their own systems and questionnaires and whatnot, and I respect that as long
Hmm.
as people do the work and do the quality work. But for me. And you just see that, when you have at least someone online on camera, you get so many things. And that's why I mentioned that part about 5 minutes talking to someone more than 20 emails of information. And it's absolutely true, because I could talk to someone on Instagram for a year, but talking, like, meeting them at least virtually, like this, it's a completely different thing. So
It really is.
yeah,
It
I
really truly
totally
is.
agree on that part. Yeah. How do those clients, when you reject them, when they actually are not into video and into calls and or meeting in person, how do they react? Did you have
Um,
like some bad experiences or?
Not really. I mean, most folks understand that. I've had a few people that say, hey, we just don't do that, and I say no, and then they come about 2 weeks later. I get an email saying, "When can we talk?"
Oh, okay.
So it depends on the person. The other thing that I have found the other way is they call me, and in those couple minutes of talking to me on the phone, they feel heard, they feel understood, they feel seen, and it feels like a true collaborative relationship. And I have won projects, big projects, over agencies, over people that, have been doing this longer than me or whatnot because of that. Because, in the end, you know, yes, they want good work and everything like that, but they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be understood. And this is the best way that I know how to make that happen. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun too. I think it saves a lot of time, you know, instead of just kind of going around, and around and around and around. It saves a lot of time and my own way of saving time as opposed to like AI and whatnot like that.
Yeah. Well, when you mentioned AI right there and that human touch we have, at least online,
Hmm.
do you think actually that's kind of the way designers can survive this AI bubble we have, by
I saw.
being more human?
I mean, we're already human, but I think for me, I saw a meme online, and it said for AI to take our jobs, designers' jobs, the client is going to have to tell them exactly what they want, so we're safe. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so I think there is a modicum of truth to that, but I think that I'll preface it by saying this: I think AI is neither good nor bad. I don't think it's inherently amazing. I don't think it's inherently, bad. I just think that for certain parts of the industry, for certain parts and certain of your process and everything like that, I just feel like it's being used way too early, especially when it comes to a creative process. Um, and once again, that's just me. I do the same thing with my students. I teach them something similar because in the end, you still have to be able to think for yourself. I think, what
Absolutely.
was it? Cruz Novillo, one of my favorite designers of all time. He's like, I think and then I draw. I think and then I do this. Not you know I get inspiration and like do all this bunch of stuff, and it's like, you know it just doesn't make any sense. I think being able to think through, being able to understand, being able to talk to somebody, I think that's the way to go. And it's something that's worked for me for a long time. And I have to remember too, just because it works for me doesn't mean it works for everybody, and vice versa. There are things that I
Yeah,
do
of
that people
course.
could take and go and do amazing things. There are other things that I do that could tank somebody, but it's the same with everybody. So it's uh it's a different way of thinking, and I feel like it's started there a little bit more. It's starting to come back, but I feel like for a while there, people start to lose the ability to have real good conversations, especially face to face.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's You mentioned James Bernard, and
Hmm.
I had him like a couple of weeks ago, and he said like Gen AI is quite questionable.
Hmm.
I mean, especially when it comes to ethics and ethical sourcing of the material
Yeah.
where it learns, but assistive AI can be really helpful in
Hmm.
some parts. So I agree definitely that it's not kind of like 100% a bad thing or 100% a good thing. So there
Yeah.
are quite mixed things over there.
And I agree. And I agree with that completely.
Yeah, I mean it definitely helps. I use for some things. I'm not a really good writer, as you said yourself. So writing some things it takes time, and uh it's just something for me, or coming up with ideas, or coming up with, I don't know, for social media or whatever it comes. But it definitely can help in those assistive things and with repetitive things. But when it comes to designing, I don't really, I mean, even not designing, I'm like working on something that I'm hoping to launch this year and something connected to the podcast. I cannot reveal too much, but w- I am trying to come up with a name for it, and AI was everything but helpful. And it's just, I mean, that part of thinking, like where it actually thinks as a human person, it doesn't exist really, coming up with really creative ideas, it doesn't really work that way. So I definitely believe that we are quite safe for some time now. I mean, in a couple of years it can change, we don't know, but for now I definitely think it's kind of a safe ground for
Hmm.
designers. um yeah, yeah. Um, and but let's go back to these more human things. Um, what were the biggest lessons you learned last year? You said it was not the best year and the totality of everything that happened, and I can understand that. But what are some lessons that actually stick with you even today, and what would you say that you learned the most?
No, I think there are certain things that you need to do yourself. But I also think there are a lot of things that, it's okay to need help with. I ran my own social, whether it's social media, whether it's project management, whether it's, you can fill in the blank. My goal you know, is to kind of farm out as much as I can to the point where I'm still in control of the brand and I'm designing, you know, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to deal with some of the other stuff. And it's taken me a minute to come to terms with that. I know that, when I was a kid, I know my dad didn't have like a great experience with like a business partner and different things like that. And I think that kind of got passed down to me a little bit. So I tried to kind of keep control over everything. And then as you get older and as you get more onto your career and everything, you realize that's not always the greatest thing. And the people that I have around me now are nothing but help. And I think that's one of the big. It's something that I'm learning more and more of each year. I think taking that time for yourself is something that I've always tried to do, but I've made that a much larger part of my day, especially moving in. I mean, I just turned 40, you know,
Oh,
so I'm trying to make sure that yes, I'm still very active. Yes, I'm doing really good, but at the same time, I want to make sure I'm around for a long, long time. In the best shape that I can possibly be. So I think you know, making sure that that's where it needs to be is also a big deal. And time with the kids, time with my wife. I'm really excited. We're actually at the end of February. We're actually going to Japan for 2 weeks,
oh
and
wow.
yeah. So
Oh
I'm
wow.
very, very, very excited about that. Still some prep to do, but just we're getting closer and closer, and I'm getting more and more excited. And so yeah, there's been a lot of good things that have happened. There's been a lot of lessons to learn and whatnot, and it's just something I have to keep. It's an everyday type of thing. It's not like, okay, I did this year and I'm fine now. It's an everyday type of thing.
Trip to Japan is wow, for 2 weeks. That will
Yeah,
be like experience of a lifetime. And
it really will be.
can you pick one thing that you are grateful for from last year? Except your family. I mean, I
Yeah,
understand
I
that
mean that's kind of the thing.
that's the top thing. So, like, let's go on the second thing.
You always have friends, you always have peers and whatnot in the industry, but I think over the years I've become more and more thankful for my friends, for people that you can call on, you can talk to, you can text and say, hey, I need a chat, or I need I'm dealing with some stuff, I'd love for you to do that. There's a chef here in town, has become one of my very, very good friends, and I'm going to see him tomorrow. you know I'm meeting with some clients. We finished the work and everything, and I'm meeting with them. They're going to be in Atlanta tomorrow, so we're going to get out, we're going to have a good time, get some food and fellowship and everything, and then I'm going to go by and see a chef. And
That's
it's been a great friendship. It's been a great you know it's been great because we're both very driven. We're both you know very passionate about what we do in a very different way. And um I like the support. I like doing that. And it's something that I've always had people around me, but you work by yourself. You're able to push yourself. It's like, do I need a team of designers to push me to do my best work? No, I really don't need anybody to help me push and do that best work, because I kind of do that myself. But at the same time, it is always great to have those people around you that you can depend on, that you can talk to, that have some understanding of what you're going through. And it's been that way with with Chef. It's been that way with with the Design Boys. As we kind of call ourselves our group from Creative South. That's been great. And then just a few other friends that I have around the industry. Um, so I'm very, very thankful for that.
You said you turned 40. I'm turning 40, well, this year, very soon. It's kind of interesting how priorities change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yes.
we are not old. Like, there's like so much time ahead of us, and so much life and everything. But if you look back like 10, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and see what were the priorities back then, and
Oh
you
yeah.
see those things right now, it's completely different. And sometimes when I look at myself, I think, oh my God, I mean, honestly, how stupid could I be like that moment? I mean, it's honest. And like, that was so childish. But I mean, I guess you don't know better at certain age, and things
You're
change.
always learning.
But it's so interesting to me, like, that those things can change so much
Yeah.
during a lifetime, right?
And I think it can be that, it can be decisions you've made, it can be the way you work, it can be all these different things, but underlying all that for me is, I want to keep getting better. I want to keep getting stronger. I want to keep getting better and better and better at what I do. I'm a competitor at heart. I always have been. I was an athlete in high school and
Yeah.
college. I'm It's so funny. um I was you know I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, you know, I look at design in general now, and there are people out there, that amazing designers, that have an incredible social media presence, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful. I think there's some folks that are coming up that have that presence as well, and I think that's great. I think that in some instances, people have started to look at that, especially if people just coming into the industry. People have started looking at that as the end all be all. Like, oh, I want to be popular. I want to be this. I want to be that. And it's like, why are we doing this? One of my buddies on Twitter the other day was like, when did we stop doing design like this to be good, to get better at it, to do our craft? It's like, I'm not, when I'm doing this, when I'm studying, when I'm up until 2 in the morning, when I'm up, at 5 in the morning working, if I'm up, doing all these things and pushing myself and whatnot, I'm not doing it to be popular. I'm doing it to kick all y'all's rear ends.
Yeah,
I'm a
absolutely, man.
competitor at heart. And I think that that's very key. I think it's something that pushes me because I want to get better. I want to, you know, do I want to be known as, one of the better, logo designers in the world? I mean, who wouldn't? But my goal is to each day get better, get better, get better. And the moment I feel like, oh, I've made it, then I'll never grow any further. And I think that I think that a lot of younger designers at times have a very short-sighted take on that. And I'm playing the long game. So,
That's
well,
so
but once
true.
again, this is me, this is my opinion, and something that works for me. So, I'll continue to keep growing and continue to do what I do, and we'll go from there.
I can definitely see, like, especially as you said, young designers coming into this field, and you go to Behance, you go on social media, and you see all these people who are like having hundreds of thousands of followers, and you have, like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, and you actually think right away that you're not good enough, and actually it has nothing to do with number of followers. I mean, recently, last week I published an episode where uh, uh, an amazing creative from Denmark, Michael Flarup, and he's been doing so many good things over the years. Like, he's like 20 plus years, and he has like 4,000 followers on Instagram, but he self-published books, he has a game studio, he did so many good things, and such a treasure, like,
Mhm.
of amazing knowledge he gave through the interview. And
Yeah,
everyone really needs to know that the number of followers doesn't really determine how good you are.
it doesn't, and
It's such a different thing, right?
I think that's something that, from the very beginning, do I look at agencies and look at what they did? Yes, and learning from them and doing whatnot and whatnot. But I've beat out agencies with, you know, dozens of designers to do work. I've been able to do things that agencies can't do, and do it in a very iconic way. But from the very beginning of my career, I just said, I'm, my competition is what looks back at me in the mirror. That's who I'm competing against.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, I've never been in. You can go in places and be like, wow, this is amazing, and be awed and everything like that. But I would put up what I can. I would put what I can do up against anybody, and I've been that way really since the beginning of my career. Whether that's arrogance, at the beginning, or confidence, or stupidity, or whatever, but it works.
Yeah,
And
as
and I
long
do the
as it
same, and I do the same
works.
thing now.
Yeah, as long as it works, and as long as you, as you said, when you look yourself in the mirror today and you are a tiny bit better than yesterday,
Yeah.
that's success. It's success to have 1 million followers. For James Bernard, amazing. You have to do that, and
Hmm.
it's work. But those followers didn't really determine how good of a designer he is.
No, it didn't.
So it
His
doesn't really
reach,
put the level.
and that's a level of reach I would love. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it doesn't matter. And it's like, well, no, there is some, and there is some bit to that. It's not going to determine everything that I do, but I'm already making a lot of gains this year over the last couple of years, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of that this year. I think people have seen my work so much they've forgotten what I look like. So um, I know that my wife is helping me out with
Oh,
a lot of
that's
that this year,
that's good. Yeah.
including just very recently. I think we just posted something today I'm good at designing things. I'm good at standing in front of a camera. Am I great at putting it all together? Not so much, but she is fantastic at that. So I kind of look at her as um, you know, as a fantastic, just kind of not just social media, but just almost a little bit of creative direction when it comes to this stuff. And I'm super super happy for that.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, that's really good then. Um, I've seen you mentioned you posted something on Instagram, and I've seen recently you posted a video that actually has a cover. And I quite often ask my guests about work-life balance, since a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
them actually have families, have like, you know, huge businesses and everything.
Hmm.
And um, I absolutely loved what you said, that there's really no work-life balance.
It's a
And
balancing
I
act.
totally agree with that, because and especially for us, like when you are like a one man studio, or
Mhm.
in your case like three people, but it's not an agency of 50 people. And for us, I definitely agree, like it's not really work life balance, because at every point you have to mix those things.
Mhm. I mean,
Yeah,
my
tell
work
me.
kind of is my life, and vice versa, and that's something that I've always liked about that. My whole concept moving forward, with clients, with different things like that, is this idea of, what is it, uniquely personal, you know, and I'm kind of living that.
Oh,
So
that's
I think that's one thing that helps, me to work with other folks as well. It's like I'm living the same way.
Yeah, that's not a common thing, I would say. Apart from work-life balance, which is not a balance in the
No, no,
end,
no, 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 no.
you cannot say, I mean, I will work 40% of the time, or I will devote 40% of the time to the family or whatever. It doesn't really work that way. So, um, apart from that, what plans do you have for this year? Apart from showing up on social media a bit more, what other
Hmm.
things can we expect from you?
Well, do you have a streetwear brand I have iconic that has kind of gotten put on the back burner last year, and we're looking to make a comeback in a big way that I'm really excited about. And then what is it? So I'm really excited about that. So that should be coming here in the next month or so. Got a new website that's coming out this winter. We've been working on it for a little while, and we're finally right there. So working through there, um, opening myself up to some new opportunities, um, and just some things that I've never done before, that I'm really excited about. And really, it's just I continue to grow, continue to support my family, continue to get better, and and then go from there. Yes, there are some goals, there are some internal goals and whatnot that I have, but um, that's really it, you know. And talk to me in a month, that could change, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
the ups and downs of the independent designer, um, but yeah, I'm pretty excited for this year. I'm as excited as I've been in a while for this. I think the other thing too is one of the reasons that I love design so much, and especially working on my own, is if there's a small project or just a project for the heck of it that I want to take on, if I have the availability, if I have the bandwidth, I can do it. And I feel like I got away from that, I think, for a couple of years there. And I've jumped back into that in the last year. And I want to continue to do that, to a certain extent, but always something that I want to keep in mind. Um, but yeah, I want to be uncomfortable. I want to, try some things I've never done before, and just kind of see where it all comes out. And knowing
Yeah.
that I've got a good team next to me.
Oh, that's well, I'm really looking forward to see all the things that are happening and this year and even further from that. But I would like to circle back to one thing, and it's often quite misunderstood, because we all, well, people who show up in social media um, a lot of that is, I would say, overly positive.
Hmm.
I mean, I understand the perspective that you don't really want to show up as a negative person
Yeah.
and talking negative things all the time, but um, does it feel lonely for you working on your? I mean, it's not on your own, but when you're designing and doing all that stuff, does it feel lonely at times?
No, not really. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's always good to have folks to, put ideas and stuff back and forth off of, but no, not really. I mean, you know, I, there was a couple of, like CrossFitters, like back in the day. I think it was, who's it? Matt Frazier, whatnot. I think he trained by himself. You know, one of the greatest there's ever been. And this idea, it's like, I'm not here in a gym. I'm not here doing this. I'm here doing this. I'm competing against myself, whether that's minimizing distractions or whatnot. But no, I mean, if there's somebody I need to talk to, I'm here at home, which is great. If there's somebody that I want to work with, I can reach out there. But once again, I it's not really a lonely issue when it comes to doing this.
What would you say is the main issue? I mean,
I mean, there's always
if there's
consistency,
something.
consistency, and I think every designer deals with that in some way, shape, or form. There's a consistent aspect. If you have retainers, you have different things like that. Sometimes there's an up and down. It depends on the market. It depends on the inflation. It depends on politics. It depends on a million different things, and all of that comes back to to you, and it affects your bottom line. So I think that having that kind of over your head, it can be stressful at times, but you have to be a little bit crazy to not just to get in the industry, I think, but to go out and do it by yourself. I mean, March will be 11 years that we've been doing this full time. So
Wow.
some of that's crazy, some of it is is amazing, but a lot of that is the Lord blessing and helping me to get to a point that I would never be able to get to on my own. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. At the end of the day, I put in a good day's work and whatnot. So I'm a happy man.
Oh, that's really good to hear, you know. I've been talking to a lot of people, and loneliness and sometimes anxiety and depression kicks in,
Hmm.
and I guess for you having the family around and working with your wife, it's not lonely. So that's really amazing. Was What was the hardest thing you were, I mean, battling or that challenged you over these, well, 11 years now?
Um, I mean, consistency for sure, especially in the beginning. But I think that a lot of times, because over the last like 4 or 5 years, I've seen people that were on their own that that shut down shop and went to work, in house or worked for an agency or something like that. Which there's nothing wrong with, and I'm super happy for where they are. They're happy right now, you know. And but in my back of my mind, I'm going, you know, them really? Like, how could they? Because I've seen the work, I've seen what they do, and I've seen what they put out, And I think there's this tendency to just say, okay, this is how things are. Things are tough right now. So I can plan on this quarter being bad or this year not being so great. It doesn't have to be that way. You know, our whole, my whole idea around design is, I'm going to do things that are not based on any trends or fads or current happenings or whatnot. So why would my approach to this be any different? And I had a few folks help me to see that, because you can kind of get in that same mindset as well. It's like, so what do you do? I remember I remember with COVID, I was gonna go travel for a while. I was gonna do workshops and talks and whatnot, like all over the US, and all that got canceled in like 30 minutes, every one of them. That
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
lot of money. And I remember saying, like, all my workshops are in person. I never do virtual. I never do any of this type of stuff. I won't. You can't ask me to. You can't pay me enough to do it. Then you get over COVID and it's like, okay, just because everybody else is thinking that way, is that the right thing? And then, my wife convinced me, she'd like, do a workshop, see what happens. My gosh, not only did that happen, I also got invited to do a lot more, a lot bigger ones. I got a chance to teach now at here in Atlanta, at a design school here in Atlanta from that. So change your perspective. Just because everybody's approaching it the same way doesn't mean you have to. Just because everything else is going bad doesn't mean it has to go bad for you. There are some things that can't be helped, sure, but at the same time, there are things that you can do differently. And it's different for every person. But I'm really excited to report that it does work.
It does. It does. I mean, if you don't give up too early,
Hmm.
it does. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of people who enter the industry, and you can see it on social media as well. And when you talk to people, that it's actually not the easiest thing to get new clients, to have a constant stream of income, and even for people who have million followers. I mean, I've talked to James, and he said, you have good months, you have bad months, but it doesn't really mean that you should give up or change a
Hmm.
career, because
Agreed.
as you said at one point, we are here. I mean, if you love design, if you are here because of that desire to create something, you are going for the long run, not just, I want to get rich in a year. Yeah, I mean, even James Martin in the first episode of this season, he said, like, there's so many people and so many commercials and ads and everything on social media, like, get six figures in like a month or in a couple of weeks, or
Hmm.
I mean, it's not really happening. That's not
No.
how it works.
My favorite thing to do is, oh, I did this and this and this, and I just go, okay, show your work. How'd you
Yeah,
get that done? Show your work.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely,
and no one
absolutely.
ever does. So are there things out there to learn from? Yes. Are there things that people are doing that can help out? Yes. But I'm a visual person, so I tend to, yes, you can talk to people and do that, but you still have to be able to produce. So I always look at what came out of this, what came out of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
design wise, and if I can't see that, then I tend to not trust it.
totally agree on that one. And it's so many. I mean, it's an ugly word, but there's so many like scam for young
Hmm.
designers. There's
Yeah.
so many fake information.
It's wild. I look back at I remember I was a junior in college when YouTube came out. And I think about, some of these kids that are coming out now, they have access to things that no one in the history of humanity has had access to immediately. And you know, I'm not saying you have to go through the school of hard knocks to be good. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But man, you know, it's it took me a minute to get to a certain level, but I had to be hungry and I had to search and do that or whatnot, put in the time and do those different things. So, you always find a way to do what you want to do, and that can be in every aspect of your life. I don't know. I've seen a lot of the designers come up. I feel like the industry's in good hands. Um, but I am interested in seeing where it all kind of falls for me. But on my end, I'll keep pushing as hard as I can to get better, to get stronger. Um, and notice I didn't say faster.
Yeah,
Um, you know, but to get better, to get stronger, and to continue putting out work that lasts, is timeless, that can make a difference, and you know, for every level. of industry, whether it's a mom and pop shop, whether it's a Fortune 100 company, or, you know, huge corporation, or, a little league team, you know, I kind of treat them all the same. And, you know, it's been working out pretty well so far.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I love that you said not faster, because I've been like a couple of weeks back making like a list of the things that I did in 2025 and then comparing it to before. And like in 24, I did, I don't know, like around 30 typefaces.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I did, I think, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those were like just extension of the new family. So not
Yeah.
really completely new typefaces. But then I figured that I actually did things so much better that the speed and the number of items I actually published didn't really affect anything. It didn't affect my bottom line. It didn't affect number of clients and people I have. Go on.
It's why you don't charge hourly. It's like you don't get paid more for being faster.
Yeah,
But I'm looking
absolutely.
at some of your stuff, and I love your work, dude.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know,
It's
I'm
been
looking through some of these, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to raid this guy's. I'm gonna have to raid this guy's foundry here really, really soon.
no, it's
Like
been
Rockfall. I love. What was the other one? Arcilla. Is that Arcilla?
well, yeah, I mean it's like that, but in Spain we would say it arcilla,
Arcia. Yes, 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 yes.
which is kind of a clay in English.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
No,
it's
I took what is it? I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, so I'm like, duh, why am I doing that?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, these are Sophia and all these different things. Like I love it. It has that flair to it, which I love. I think, it's so funny because like if you look behind me, if you look at all the stuff that I have like up on the wall and different things like that, none of this, very, very little of this looks like anything you would necessarily see in my portfolio or in my Instagram. But every single one of these are tied to a memory, are tied to a point in time, or an emotion, or something like that I've dealt with, and it's a big, big deal for me. So for me, less in stories, I'm more interested in less in style. I'm more interested in the stories behind it. Why is this up there? Why is that up there? Why not this? And with the exception of that Stay Iconic banner behind me, nothing up on the wall up here is any of my work.
Oh,
You know,
wow. Okay.
and some of these I bought. Some of these have been. A lot of these were given to me, which was really, really fantastic. Some of these are from museum exhibitions. Some of these are bought from friends. Some of these come from junk shops, and they end up on my shelf, or right next to me or whatnot. Like I'll grab, I found like this little plastic tray or whatnot, but then I use that to to hold all this stuff, stuff like this. So everything from like old decals to one of my favorite ones, Canadian graphic design has always been a massive, massive favorite of mine. To old water decals to you know old sports team stuff from the
Oh, such a
70s.
good typeface.
Yeah, stamps as well. I'm not a big like stamp collector, but there's always like one or two that are I've always like, man, if I ever get that stamp, that'd be awesome. But like, things like this, like
Oh,
little
wow,
first man on the moon
that's
type of
so
things.
cool.
By the way, I'm actually on the short list to design a stamp for the post office in the next couple of years.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yes. So,
that's a huge one.
I haven't gotten the call yet, but it's not that far away. So
Anytime
yeah,
soon. I'm betting on that.
yeah. I've had friends that have done it and they've enjoyed it. And I'm excited to, you know, I'm excited to do the same thing.
From what I can see on the wall, because you are kind of cropped, I don't see the, yeah. I love the haters allowed part
Oh no,
because,
it says no haters allowed.
oh,
Yeah, it's let me up just a little bit.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
no haters allowed. I will
okay,
say, I've always loved that one. It's my buddy in Waverly, Alabama, from Standard Deluxe. I think Scott Peak for that one, but one of the best ones. I don't have this one, but I remember over the last like 5 or 6 years, all of a sudden, there are things that all the designers used to keep like close to their chest. It's like we're going to keep this. I think this. There's certain things that I keep close to my chest. But I forget who designed it, but it was a pennant that just said gatekeep.
okay.
It, and I'm like, I laughed for like 5 minutes when I saw that because I'm sitting there going, man, like that isn't like no one does that anymore. And I'm like, I have to have that. But I love different things like that. I love things that kind of make you think. Anytime somebody comes over to the house or comes over to the studio or whatnot, I'll say, as they're leaving, I'll always tell them, just remember, you're always welcome anytime I feel like it.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and just little things like that to kind of make you think. But it has been, I like things like that kind of make people do that double take.
Yeah, yeah. How many new note fields do you have since the last time we talked?
More than I'm just kind of going through my collection at this point, just filling them up as best I can. I'm already, you know, I'm already most of the way through this one, which I started very, very recently. I've got maybe 10 pages left in this one. But it just kind of keeps going. I love. I've been using these things for a very, very long time, and always enjoyed the heck out of them. Carrying them around, doing whatever I need to do. But it's been fun. I love and go through my archives and everything, and still see where I started. Um, remember, man, that was 8 years ago I did this.
Yeah.
And you look at the notes, like the notes I wrote myself, my to-do lists and client lists and everything like that. And it's so much fun going back and looking through that. And yeah, so I won't have to buy any for a little while, but I'm definitely enjoying filling up what I have.
Yeah. No, I remember you showing like a lot of them last time, and that
Oh, one of
was,
one of my archive boxes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was such a great thing to see, like all in one place, and that's so cool. Um, we were already past an hour. I could continue like for such a long time, and I'm so glad like we did it.
Hmm.
And this conversation, and I'm sure we'll do at least a couple of more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure,
I mean,
because
I'll see everybody on season 3. It'll just be,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, absolutely.
just
Why
be an
not?
ongoing conversation. At some point, I'm going to have to interview you.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
I
sure.
saw, there's so many, it's so funny because there's so many podcasts and everything just popping up right now. It's like everybody has one. And then I saw one of my buddies on Twitter was like, um, some of y'all don't need to get podcast equipment for Christmas. Like a lot of y'all don't need podcast equipment for Christmas,
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember going nuts, but I enjoy, listening to you. I enjoy the people that you have on. Always like this conversation. It's always fun because it's very enjoyable. It's very in depth. And there's a real passion behind it, and I think that's a very, very key. So for my second time around, I definitely enjoyed it. And anytime you want me back on, just let me know. I'll
Absolutely,
send you an
man.
invoice, and I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and every other person on there is like, he's been paid. No,
Yeah,
not been
yeah.
paid, not been paid, just messing. But no, anytime you want me on or whatnot, just let me know.
Will
Something
do.
you want to toss past me, say, hey, if you and I want to do a typeface trade or something one of these days, we'll have to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but either way, I'm gonna come raid your foundry here really, really soon. But
Thanks so much.
seriously, man, thanks for everything. I appreciate you having me on. I had a heck of a time.
No, me too. I would just like to ask you one more. Well, it's a weird question because not it's not really a question.
Let's hear it.
I asked you like the last time one advice that you would give to other people and whatnot. But is there something that you really wish that people would ask you and they never do?
Uh, it's funny because I've been interviewed so much. It's like people have
So
asked me
many
quite a
times,
bit.
right?
Yeah. Um, Not really. I
No?
mean, not right off the bat. I mean, I've gotten to talk about so many different things. I've talked about table tennis. I talked about playing and competing there. I've talked about travel and family and, my ups and downs. Like, I feel like I've shared so much over the years that, people are running out of things to ask me about it at times. But I think, um, I don't know. Um, I've talked about work ethic. I've talked about, all these different things. I I'm still learning. I'm still getting better. You know, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about, as I go on, as my career, gets longer and matures and everything like that. But I, in my mind, getting to do something like this, having people not only, you know, have these podcasts and talk to other designers, but the fact that I'm even being asked to do this is a real privilege. So for me, you know, I I've talked so much about how I started and everything. I want to talk obviously a lot more about the here and now and design as a whole and process and different things like that. But as far as things that people should ask me or want to ask me, man, I'm just happy to be here.
No,
I'm
that's
I'm 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 seriously like I'm just a designer. I'm just happy to be here. You know, I'm happy to do the work. I'm happy to have the opportunity to do what I do, and it's changed my life. So, um, but yeah,
that's amazing. Well, a great answer, a great answer. Right? In the end, it's a really great answer. It was such a pleasure to talk to you again, and I'll probably like let's if I don't do the seasons, like if I stop
mhm.
numbering them, we'll like every 20 episodes, I'm gonna call you up and
Yeah. Let's do it.
yeah,
Let's do
no,
it.
it's definitely a lot of fun, and even though some of the things, I mean, it's life. Some of
Hmm.
the things are not, fun, but that's life,
That's life,
and
and it's always going to be that way. There's always going to be
yeah,
those one or two little things, but in the end, we're human. We're human beings, and we're all dealing with different things. And it's nice to talk it through. It doesn't always have to be with a therapist.
yeah, yeah.
Talk to your fellow folks. And we're here for you.
Thank you so much for these. Well, more than an hour, and for the last time as well. And I wish you an amazing year. I know you will have it because that's the spirit you have.
And same to you.
At least work wise, we never know what's going to happen in the personal life, but I wish you all the best in both of those. And really looking forward to seeing what you're coming up with and seeing the things you will be publishing and to our next chat as well.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you, man, once again. Bye bye, everyone.
Real stories with bold creatives.